It is amazing what one will find when dressing and addressing the garden. When dressing and addressing the garden, when following that instruction, it is amazing what one will find. As we have been, dressing and addressing the garden of what the Christian theory is, seeing the makeup of the characters. We've been focusing on John. John is a composite character. John never existed. We understand John never existed from how he has been created. A composite character, references taken, have been placed onto this one character to build him up to be who he is supposed to be. Now, I am a fan of the Joker. Joker, Batman Joker. I find Joker to be the ultimate statement for what it means to be a thinker, for what it means to be rational, for what it means to be philosophical, and for the kind of outlook that one should have, as weird as that may sound, concerning society. Now, the origin of Joker fits along with everything that we've been going through concerning John. So let's hear how the Joker was put together. But the creation of the clown prince is shrouded in controversy, with the three men involved, the writer Bill Finger and artist Bob Kane and Jerry Robinson, each offering a different account of how the Joker came to be. The exact order of events varies depending on who you believe, but in essence, the character was a hybrid of influences. Robinson produced the Joker playing card design. Finger provided inspiration in the form of a clown face logo from Coney Island, and crucially, a picture of actor Conrad Veidt playing the disfigured, permanently grinning titled character in the 1928 horror film The Man Who Laughs. Both Robinson and Kane, who for decades received sole credit for the creation of Batman, designed the character on the page, while Robinson and Finger helped develop the concept of the Joker as Batman's nemesis. The result was a villain unlike any of the gangsters and mad scientist Batman and his recently added sidekick Robin had ever faced before. Now, the Clown Prince is poised to conquer Tinseltown all over again in Todd Phillips' Joker starring Joaquin Phoenix. The director has made no secret of the film's debt to characters from the filmography of Martin Scorsese, notably Taxi Driver's Travis Bickle and the King of Comedy's Rupert Pupkin, while Phoenix can't help but bring shades of past characters like the Master's mentality, 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐒, to the table. The film won the Golden Lion at the Venice International Film Festival. Early critical reception has been mixed. Would it really be a Joker movie if everyone were in on the joke? Which brings us to the major difference between this Joker and all of his cinematic forerunners. He is now the hero or anti-hero of his own story. Romero, Nicholson, and Ledger's versions of the character had Batman as a foil, while Leto's played second fiddle to Harley Quinn. Phoenix's origin story incarnation, however, is just a sad sack everyman who gets his start without a superhero inside. Has the Joker become such a massive pop culture presence that moviegoers will find themselves compelled by a clown prince without the crimes? He started out as a colorfully deranged, stone-cold killer. Now he gets the spotlight to himself. We can't wait to hear the punchline. So if you're paying attention in that, I'm pointing this out because this is exactly how the Jesus character is made up of, the components, the entire outlook. There are forerunners to the Jesus character. The Jesus character in Mark is not the Jesus character in Matthew, and the one from Matthew and Mark is not the same in Luke, and the one from Luke, Matthew and Mark is not the same in John. These are all cinematic portrayals. The only difference is the cinema here is held to a page. We have to remember the age, right? The age that we're in, the age that this thing belongs to. Each of the characters within this, they are component characters, and they are component characters that are continually embellished as the age goes on. Nevertheless, funnel down each and every single one of those embellishments, you get down to the original embellishment, which is Mark. Mark, the forerunner to all of the other forerunners, to the Jesus character, to the John character, to these characters, Mark begins this trend by placing every single element one needs to understand who they are into their narrative. So that by the time you get to the other narratives, the story, it's really not changing, it's only evolving, and more blatantly, as you can see in Luke in their opening passages, for which they are applying paganry and all sorts of other things when you get to the openings in Matthew and Luke. But the founding core begins in Mark, which Mark isn't so clear about because Mark hides everything through references and illustrations. You get those references and illustrations down, you can actually see the character developing before your eyes. So we're seeing an actor. We're seeing an actor. There are actors playing these characters on the pages that we're reading. None of these characters are real. It's not supposed to be real. It's supposed to be about as real as Joker is. And Joker is only as real to the cinema that he is in. Before, Joker was only as real to the comic book that he was in. Well, that's what we have here. And being mindful of that and understanding the components to each one of these characters that we are reading in Mark begins this trend, it allows us to then see these things the way that they are meant to be seen and to receive them the way that they are meant to be received, and to philosophically apply them, which is the most important thing, the way that they are supposed to be philosophically applied. The John character is interesting, as we saw, as we are continuing to see, as the John character unfolds and things get a lot deeper. The John character is a very interesting character made up of components. The Jesus character is also very interesting. The Jesus character is also made up of components while also being based on a real person. Based on a real person given components. Jesus is not real. John is not real. Jesus and John are about as real as Joker is. We have to understand that. And we can really only understand that as we approach these documents the way that they are supposed to be approached. Yes, the agenda behind them was for a cult and for cult worship and for the spreading of a particular religion attached to a particular throne. Sure, that was the time. Those were the times. In 2024, we have to be more evolved mentally. In 2024, we have to be more evolved spiritually. In 2024, we have to be more evolved philosophically. In 2024, we have to be more evolved devotionally. The same way that these characters were put together in the comic book and then met themselves in the screen of what we see today, well, it's the same way, and the only way any one of us is ever going to see the Jesus in these things is on a screen. So in 2024, we have to be able to address the garden for which these things relate. When we do, we are going to receive the upgrade to our devotional conversation, into the conscience of our devotional conversation that we are supposed to. Just as John is met with compositions, a composite character, just as John is a play off of references from Genesis to Malachi, so too is the Jesus character. The Jesus character has a fundamental historical figure. You can observe my PowerPoints on Marcus Agrippa I, who fulfills the character role through and through, and who fulfills many other character roles to make that one character role further shine. The authors can do that because this is a screenplay. This is a screenplay. And we have actually seen movies where the same actor is playing different characters in the same movie. That's what's going on here. It's no different. But the more that we get accustomed to the references used, the more that we are attuned to what to what Genesis to Malachi is and is about, and the references therein, the more that we're going to be able to pinpoint the type of character that is trying to be brought out, that the author wants their reader to conjure. And when we see the Jesus character, just like the Mark character, Jesus also is a composite character that is based on a historical figure. In episodes prior to this one, we saw the philosophy that the Jesus character wanted to bring out, which was the philosophy based on the unknowable Father. Only in Mark will you hear the Jesus character saying, "Have faith in God." that God is the unknowable Father. The unknowable Father is the Father of gods, the Father of deities, the controller of the Jews' deity, the controller of the Roman deity, the controller of the Egyptian deity, the controller of the Indian deity, the controller of all deities on the world belong to this one Father, this unknowable Father. The Mark community funds this belief because the events that took place in their age led them to this belief. And so what we have in the book of Mark is actually, from the first chapter to the last, a very esoteric doctrine. When you really look at it philosophically, it's an esoteric doctrine, and the esoteric doctrine is being given by a main character who the author knows who that is and who we also can know. But their main character is funneling through them this doctrine that the Mark community upholds, an esoteric doctrine related to one's experience to the unknowable Father. Now, the Jesus character in and of itself is a composite, and one of those episodes prior, we saw how the John character had his philosophy, the Son of God, how that relates to the one that is mightier than him. But it's not just the Son of God that the author places onto their Jesus character. They place onto him the character of the Son of Man. Now, the Son of Man and the Son of God are two different titles, two different entities. We're going to see that. And in order to really flesh that out, we're going to actually have to go outside of the Bible to where the philosophy of the Son of Man can be discerned, so that we can then understand where the author of Mark is getting their content from and placing it onto their main character, or allowing their main character to voice an opinion, because they never claimed themselves to be the Son of Man. They are an advocate for this figure called the Son of Man. How? How and why? We're going to see how Mark pins these things together to allow that Son of Man title, figure, to be sort of meshed with their main character in the underlying historical figure that they have in mind.
Journey into a marriage of self-discovery with growth. Immerse yourself in eloquent verses that tenderly explore the bond between heart and mind, unveiling the art of self-love. Embark on a poetic odyssey between the heart's yearnings and the mind's reflections, as they come together to highlight self-acceptance. Growth is a collection that gracefully unfolds the intricate chapters of one's own narrative, each poem a testament to the intertwining journey of love, vulnerability, and cooperation. As you turn each page, you'll witness the blossoming of self-compassion, a gradual revelation as you navigate the labyrinth of emotions and thoughts. Discover the power and the beauty that arises from valuing your worth. Growth invites you to nurture your heart and mind, cultivating a garden of self-love. Observe and embrace the journey. Explore, evolve, and find solace in the verses that resonate with your very soul.
One of the personalities that the main character of the book of Mark likes to heap onto himself or associate with is the Son of Man, which character, Son of Man, is always referenced in the third person. Mark chapter 14. Mark 14:21, the Son of Man indeed goeth, as it is written of him, but woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. Good were it for that man if he had never been born. Mark 9:11 and 12, and they asked him, saying, What say the scribes, that Elias must first come? And he answered and told them, Elias verily cometh first, and restoreth all things, and how it is written of the Son of Man, that he must suffer many things, and be set at naught. Now, to find anything credible from Genesis to Malachi concerning a suffering Son of Man in the context that the main character of the book of Mark is saying it would be a force, there's really nothing there. There's really nothing there in a legitimate way. In order to make that legitimate, you would have to force the narrative. And that's exactly what Mark does, but not so much. The ones after him, the documents after him, they take that narrative to the extreme to what it is, so that the assumption can be what it is, so that their authenticity for what they're writing can appear to the audience that they are writing that for. In reality, when we read the narrative of the book of Mark, which begins all of these character trends and all of this, the main character, Jesus, never associates himself as the Son of Man. What he does do is that he believes he is acting out something concerning the Son of Man. He understands he is not, and even in the book of John, there is an acknowledgement that while this individual main character, Jesus, is on the earth, that Son of Man that he is an advocate for is above. Turning to the book of John. John 3:13. No man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is, this is present tense, in heaven. So while this main character in the book of John is talking, he is not the Son of Man, because the Son of Man has already apparently come down to earth and gone right back up and is currently up to where he is at. He is not the Son of Man, this main character Jesus is. And he understands that. He understands that because the authors understand that. The authors are pegging his understanding for the things or through the things that he is saying. He is an advocate for the Son of Man. He actually believes the Son of Man is going to come again in the future. And it's written that way because the Son of Man, to the author writing the book of Mark, has already come. The question now arises, who is this Son of Man? Who is this Son of Man? Well, to get the answer, we're going to have to go outside of the Bible, to Enoch, to the first book of Enoch. And before getting into that, it is well to know that 100 to 300 years prior to these Jesus narratives being constructed, Enoch was written. First Enoch, chapter 46, 1 through 4. And there I saw one who had a head of days, and his head was white like wool, and another being was with him, whose countenance had the appearance of a man, and his face was full of graciousness, like one of the holy messengers. And I asked the messenger who went with me and showed me all the hidden things concerning that Son of Man, who he was, and from where he was, and why he went with the head of days. And he answered and said to me, This is the Son of Man who has righteousness, with whom dwells righteousness, and who reveals all the treasures of that which is hidden, because the Lord of spirits has chosen him, and whose lot has the preeminence before the Lord of spirits in uprightness forever. And this Son of Man whom you have seen will raise up the kings and the mighty from their seats, and the strong from their thrones, and will loosen the reins of the strong, and break the teeth of sinners. Continuing, chapter 48, 2 through 7. And at that hour, that Son of Man was named in the presence of the Lord of spirits, and his name before the head of days. Yes, before the sun and the signs were created, before the stars of the heavens were made, his name was named before the Lord of spirits. He will be a staff to the righteous on which to stay themselves and not fall, and he will be the light of the nations and the hope of those who are troubled of heart. All who dwell on earth will fall down and worship before him, and will praise and bless and celebrate the Lord of spirits with song. And for this reason he has been chosen and hidden before him, before the creation of the world and forevermore. And the wisdom of the Lord of spirits has revealed him to the holy and righteous, for he has preserved the lot of the righteous, because they have hated and despised this world of unrighteousness, and have hated all its works and ways in the name of the Lord of spirits. For they are saved in his name, and it has been in regard to their life according to his good pleasure. This Son of Man character only shines to those who are quote-unquote righteous. When we are seeing so much of the main character of the Gospels, of the main character of the book of Mark, talking about the Son of Man this and the Son of Man that, which is an invented narrative of him suffering something, when we're seeing so much heaped onto this Son of Man and in a third person, this is who that main character of the book of Mark is talking about. This same Son of Man. This same Son of Man from the Book of Enoch. This is who this Jesus character believes he is an advocate for, and for giving himself a ransom, as the author of the Book of Mark says. He believes he is doing this Son of Man a favor. He believes that everything he's going through is supposed to be gone through because he is somehow the righteous connected to the Son of Man. How he was led to this conclusion, how he believed himself to be an advocate for this Son of Man in the Book of Enoch, we don't know. But this was the belief that he had, and he carried this belief, and he believed that as he was going through his ministry, he was fulfilling what was necessary for that Son of Man to have fulfilled himself. He believed he was that, and that Son of Man was living through him. In 2024, we would call this a crazy person, because that's what this individual did, and took this from the Book of Enoch and ran with it. And this individual, we have to remember, is held to the screenplay that he is in. Mark is a screenplay. They're all screenplays. But Mark has placed the screenplay from the Book of Enoch into this screenplay that is theirs, and to allow their character the type of leeway that they want to heap on due to the association that they are making, from placing this celebratory imagination that their main character has for this Son of Man. Which Son of Man from the Book of Enoch existed before the world was created, existed before everything, was named with along the head of all things, the Lord of the spirits of all things. This was that, you could say, Word. This was that Word that was in the beginning, this Son of Man. All of these traditional thoughts that we have and that are built on, and all of whatever, the Book of Enoch is the foundational root for it, for which the authors of Mark took and embellished, and the other authors thereafter further took and further embellished. When able to think like the author of the Book of Mark, we will be able to understand this narrative that they have put together according to the way that they have scripted it. When we are allowing ourselves to go back into the age, when we are entering into this book not with a 2024 mindset, not with an 1840 mindset, not with a 1753 mindset, when we are allowing our mind to process the way that the author themselves would have processed, well, we are going to be able to understand the dialogue therein and the narrative therein, the context and the structure, to understand what they're actually getting at. They understand that the Son of Man has already come. 70 AD represented the appearance of the Son of Man to the community of Mark. It wasn't Jesus. There was no Jesus that appeared. The main character, Jesus, is a tool, is an instrument, is a literary tool, is a literary instrument to funnel the specific belief in the mythology that the author scripting Enoch has in their day. How can we know this? Going back into the Book of Enoch. And there was great joy among them, and they blessed and glorified and extolled, because the name of that Son of Man had been revealed to them. And he sat on the throne of his glory, and the sum of judgment was given to the Son of Man. And he caused the sinners to pass away and be destroyed from off the face of the earth, and those who have led the world astray. They will be bound with chains, and in their gathering places of destruction they will be imprisoned, and all their works will vanish from the face of the earth. And from now on there will be nothing corruptible, for that Son of Man has appeared and has seated himself on the throne of his glory, and all evil will pass away before his face, and the word of that Son of Man will go out and be strong before the Lord of spirits. This happened in the day of the community of Mark. 70 AD was this. Rome was that. Rome fulfilled it. When they saw the fulfillment of Rome and the destruction on Jerusalem, they understood that what was in Enoch was fulfilled. They understood who was this that did this destruction despite the physical Rome doing it. They understood who it was. Continuing in the Book of Enoch, chapter 71, 14-16. He came to me and greeted me with his voice and said to me, "This is the Son of Man who is born in righteousness, and righteousness abides over him, and the righteousness of the head of days does not forsake him. And he said to me, He proclaims peace to you in the name of the world to come, for peace has proceeded from there since the creation of the world. And so it will be to you forever and ever. And all will walk in his ways, since righteousness never forsakes him. Their dwelling places will be with him, and their heritage with him, and they will not be separated from him forever and ever. And so there will be length of days with that Son of Man, and the righteous will have peace in an upright way in the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever. We can understand, when allowing our minds back into the time in which the author of Mark is writing, the perspective of this community. They have a belief in the Son of Man. They understand that this belief was verified through 70 AD. The events that took place to their leader and to the one that they perceived to be the anointed and the king, for whom 70 AD was a repercussion. The unknowable Father is their ultimate desire. They believe in the unknowable Father. They believe in the Almighty Father, the Father of gods and the Father of deities. They believe that this Son of Man is connected to that unknowable Father, and that these two are working together. The Jesus character is a scripted and an invented character, is a tool, is an instrument to get the belief out in the unknowable Father and in the Son of Man. Now, these are not real things. This is a mythology that the community of Mark believes in their day has been fulfilled. And they are allowing the fulfillment of that to be pitched through their main character, who has a historical root in an actual person and who is made up of components. The scheme that they are putting forth through their main character, Jesus, is a scheme promoting a belief that they understand has been fulfilled in their day and in their time. That's why they allow their Jesus to say that the Son of Man will come again. And then when you see that abomination of desolation, as said by the prophet Daniel, flee. Then will you see the Son of Man. All of this has already happened. It has already happened. This is not prophecy. This is not whatever one would imagine. All of this has already happened. What we are seeing is the screenplay of the event from a religious, superstitious standpoint. That's all the book of Mark is. And when we're able to understand that, when we're able to understand the scenes and the actors playing the characters, and then the drama from which the narrative is formed, well, then we're going to be able to get the perspective to look at these documents the way that they are supposed to be looked at, and to understand the narrative and the philosophical cultural belief of the communities that are pushing these things out and forward.
Ever wondered how to truly connect with the Bible? In just 60 seconds, you'll discover a unique way to deepen your faith. Knowing Bible is a course crafted to bring you closer to the Bible and yourself. Tailored to fit your learning goals, it offers a personal journey. Through readings, reflections, and interactive classroom dynamics, you'll grow spiritually. Assignments are designed to give you space for personal devotion. This course helps you envision a devotional experience that truly suits you. Imagine a course that meets you where you are and takes you deeper. Don't miss this chance to transform your spiritual life. Click the link in the description for more information.
The Book of Enoch is written way before the Jesus narratives ever hit the scene of action. When we enter into the Enoch narrative and then into the scenes focused on the Son of Man, it is very likely and most likely and ultimately likely that they are building upon the scene from Daniel chapter 7 concerning that Son of Man. Daniel 7:13 and 14, I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him, and there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. Now the Enoch, Son of Man, follows this same trend as in the book of Daniel, as in the passage here. Enoch follows this trend, the author scripting that perfectly, and they repeat and enlarge it, and they embellish it. They give a story to this Son of Man. They give an appearance. They give the necessary components to make this Son of Man more relevant to the then audience. It's not so vague as in the book of Daniel. It's embellished in the book of Enoch. When we are entered into this Mark community and into the document that the Mark community is putting forward, the author of Mark, having their main character now bring up this Son of Man, whose origin whose origin one can find in the book of Daniel, yes, sure. But the reference for which the author of the book of Mark and the community of Mark, their reference isn't ultimately the book of Daniel. Their reference will ultimately be from the book of Enoch. This is that Son of Man that the Jesus character believes himself to be a messenger on behalf of. He believes himself to be a messenger for this Son of Man. And he believes himself to be a messenger for this Son of Man because the author is scripting him to do so, but also due to the historical reference that the Jesus character actually is. The historical character that the Jesus character represents was killed by the deity of the Jews. The deity of the Jews killed the historical reference that the Jesus character represents. 70 AD was retribution for doing so. The God of the Jews, the deity of the Jews, killed the anointed, touched the anointed. The anointed, always a king, will be, and in right context and specifically to this people, Marcus Julius Agrippa I. The deity of the Jews killed him. As a response for that, the Son of Man was activated. The community of Mark understands all of this. The community of Mark understands what they're doing in their narrative and why they are writing their narrative the way that they're writing it. The author of Mark understands the philosophy and the doctrine and the belief of this community and the esoteric nature that is now picking up with it known that the deity of the Jews is a lesser deity. With it known through the destruction of Jerusalem, they're getting this fundamental basis for their new religion, for their new mystery religion, and they're understanding that Marcus Julius Agrippa I was actually and should actually be thought of as the anointed, because when one touches the anointed, only trouble takes place. The Son of Man is written of in the book of Enoch as wiping away the world from the world, as wiping away sinners, and as claiming the throne for himself. Well, the community of Mark saw Rome do this. And the community of Mark, understanding Rome do this, they understood that it was the Son of Man in action. They are using their main character, Jesus, as an instrument to pitch the belief that the author scripting Enoch has and is taken from Daniel chapter 7 concerning that Son of Man. The components therein fit into a narrative and into a doctrinal structure that the community wants to have mirrored by the ones that will hear their narrative and see their screenplay. They want their screenplay to match the belief that they have, and they do. They do it beautifully. They continue the legacy of the Son of Man that begins in Daniel, but that Enoch embellishes. They place it into their narrative because they understand that 70 AD saw that Son of Man manifest. Everything that has gone on in that age, they are placing it into their narrative in creative, colorful context and language. To really understand that, we have to be able to jump into the mindset of the author, and we have to be able to vacate 2024 and enter into the times for which the relevancy for this imagery is. When we're able to do that, well, we're able to bring out what the author intends to be brought out and not remain on the surface illusion and get caught up in the cinematic display of Joker on the screen.